very much to the downside. If you join Tuesday's analysis, right, you would flow pretty well what we're saying today. So our major structure is still very much to the downside, and our minor structure is gradually forming higher highs and higher lows. And as at Tuesday, we marked out this zone saying that this was going to serve as some sort of resistance to push price down, again, bearing in mind that there's a fair value gap around this zone. So we marked out this zone. And before price got into this level, we were somewhere around here, I think halfway through, and we wanted price to buy back. Do you recall? Wanted price to buy back to tap exactly into this zone, and then we can now decide, or we will now rather watch, not decide, to see if price is able to break above this zone or if it retraces. If you remember this, please kindly confirm. So now that we're currently here in the market, price has traded exactly into the resistance and it is starting to react. I'm currently even selling AUD/USD at the moment, but not going in for too much. When I see reversals, all things being equal, AUD/USD should trade back into the 61.8 or 50% fib level. This is now the zone of interest, following our major structure, which is predominantly to the downside. Now, for some of us who have issues, clearly identifying higher highs, higher lows, or lower highs and lower lows, a tool that really helps is the line charts, just so you have a clear view, right? A clear view of the entire move downward and where you see very obvious pullbacks. So this is now our entire major structure swing to the downside. Now we have this, price is here. What am I doing next? I'm marking out my point of interest. Now, bear in mind that there's a very high possibility that price could trade into the 61.8 to 50% fib level. You could trade in here and start to sell downward, or you could violate. As long as price is still very much within this Fibonacci that we drew, it is still very valid, even if price trades all the way to the 100% fib level, except it breaks above before we can now say that the Fibonacci tool and the major structure we're trying to continue trading downward is no longer valid. If you understand to this point, please let me know. Please let me know if you understand to this point. So now that we have this H4, on the H4 time frame, all right, on the H4 time frame now, I can now, decide to trade the minor structure that I see playing out, right? So that will now be, I think, right, so perfect. This is where we were as at Tuesday. We drew this swing. This was now the most recent swing that we had in our chart, and we're trying to buy back into the resistance zone, which is exactly what it did, and it bought back into the resistance zone. So now that we're currently here, two things. Either I'll keep waiting for price to get in here because of how close it is. Let me see, how many pips do we have? This is the 4-hour chart, so I'm sure it is a lot of movement, especially for a pair like AUD/USD. That is what, over 60 pips, almost 70 pips thereabouts. The price will trade back in here. So if price should come back here and I decide to take this as a swing, this being the obvious pullback, then when price gives me a premium entry, 50% fib level, I'm then going to buy back AU to see. But because of the resistance zone, let's just wait for price. Let's see if it breaks this one. Because if you were already buying from Tuesday's analysis, this would have been where you'd have taken partials, right? To see. So if you took the buy early on, okay, good. If not, this is our zone of interest for us to continue trading the major structure. That's pretty much it for AU. No need to go downward because we're still looking out for certain zones on the higher time frame. On NZD/USD now, very similar on NZD/USD daily time frame. Our major structure is also to the downside, right? And we have a major swing, an overall major swing right here. And then you look at the most recent price action, which is our minor structure inside all of this that is happening on this swing that we have. This is now our minor structure. So we now see price that's taking out this zone. So obviously this is a retracement. It is always important that at every point in time, you know where exactly you are, especially on your higher time frames. Are you riding the trend? Are you in a reversal? It is important. So now that we can now tell that this move happening is a reversal for us to continue the overall trend, we can now mark out our daily point of interest. And this would now be premium levels. NZD/USD to trade back in here. So daily time frame, seeing what are we seeing on the H4 time frame. Now, this was our most recent swing on the minor structure, and you can see that price is already trading through. Remember that I said as long as the Fibonacci level has not been violated above the 100 or 0 level, it's still very much in play. So price came back here, found support at this zone, and then started buying. The resistance we spoke about, it is currently there, and you can see how it's been kind of ranging or struggling around that zone. So if price breaks above this level, where are we going to? What do I consider resistance on higher time frames? Just two candlesticks that are beside themselves like this. I consider them to be resistance points. The same thing when I see two candlesticks like this, I consider them support. So I'm now wanting for this to break above and trade in here, and then we can continue selling NZUSD. And when price trades into our point of interest, what do we now do? That is where we now come on the H1 time frame to look for even more confirmations. And by that, I mean we'll now start looking out for our base, two candlesticks like this. For the sake of those who might be joining for the first time, I'm just going to give a quick illustration so that when this plays out on your chart and we're not on this session, you can take advantage of it. So when price gets into your point of interest, you want to see base and the continuation. And when price breaks below this zone, we then start looking for our variation pattern, which is basically morning star pattern or evening star pattern. There's a lot of names for them, or even the bearish engulfing candle. And then we can, continue NZUSD sell downward. And that is pretty much what I'm looking out for today. Mr. Demola is going to come and do the second part, so please do not go anywhere. But if you have questions at this point, kindly let me know before I call it a wrap on my session. If there are no questions, just let me know. It is clear. Thank you. Please do not go anywhere. We'll be back shortly. Cheers and God bless.
Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome back to the second session of this market scholar. We'll be looking at the markets quickly. We'll be looking at indices, asset class. And by indices, I mean US 30, NAS 100, S&P 500. All right, let's move quickly into the market and see what we are having for today. Nasdaq, that's NAS 100. We highlighted some zone yesterday, which we said that price is going to clear them, right? This zone, which eventually price actually have finally, cleared the zone. So we're looking for continuation to, continue buying to the upside this morning, right? While on the 4-hour time frame, I'm looking for a retest of this, probably this other block. Rest of this entire other block. Price might want to come. There are two. When we go to 1-hour time frame, we're going to see another area of interest that looks very interesting for us, right? This other block on the 4-hour time frame looks very significant. That price might, tap into it and then, continue its movement to the upside. If we're going to use FIBO2, so this area lines up well with 61.8. So I believe we're going to see a retest of at least 50% and just below 50%, 61.8, which we want to see the market, continue its movement to the upside. That being said, let's go to the 1-hour time frame. Well, it's 1 hour now, 2 hours. Yeah, 2. On the 2-hour time frame, we see that there's another block just above that other block again, right? But this time around, even with gaps. So this also looks very interesting that price might want to, tap into this combination. I mean, for price to get to this 4 hours order block, you might have tapped into this, right? So this is just like a more refined entry that should, in case price begins to reverse from this zone, we are not caught by surprise. We can still enter the market and then continue the buy trend that have started so well, right? And even if you look from this, if you look at this from the 2 hours time frame, those of us that trade box, you see like a box pattern formed on this 2 hour time frame, right? That eventually price should respect and continue moving from, right? Those are trade market structure and liquidity. You see that there's a more refined entry, a sweep of this low, and then before price broke this high, give us structural liquidity and then start pumping to the upside. So you might say that price is going to come back and eventually even tap this other block, violate this other blocks, clear this structural liquidity for it to continue moving to the upside. These are several what's it called? Possibility the market can do, right? That we just see a clear of this structural liquidity that's been formed, and then price going to tap into it and then start pushing to the upside, violating these other blocks that has been formed, even on the 4 hour time frame, right? But US 100 can be very, very funny. Sometimes it's not going to even respect all of this structural liquidity. Just tap on this other block, and then we see a movement to the upside. So that's why I'm marking out all of these areas of interest that we might want to, engage the market from. So if price comes very close to this area of interest, and then we see a box pattern, say on 15 minutes or even on 5 minutes, you might want to give it a try. But more eventually, it's this clear of structural liquidity that I think would propel the buy movement to the upside. So that being said, that's all I have for US 100 this morning in terms of intraday play and technical analysis. Let's move on to US 30, right? On US 32, we are very, very much bullish. We are very, very bullish, right? Extremely bullish. And I believe we should see the markets. This would be like a new target, right? The price going to clear the previous all-time high at 48,000 level. All right. For intraday play, looking at the market closely, would there be any significant intraday play? Okay, probably at this zone here. If we're going to see a price movement onto this zone, because this look like a typical box pattern, right? A sweep, a break to the upside, and then price coming back to tap into that area of sweep of liquidity for it to continue moving to the upside. So, and these are the two setups I'm looking out for in terms of intraday play for US 30 and also NAS 100, right? So these are what I'm just seeing for this morning. And then ultimately, we are moving to clear this all-time high. All right. So that's just the analysis for today on US 30. On S&P 500, do you have anything significant? S&P 500 has cleared all its, what's it called now? All its high. Remember the setup we had for this, that we said price might want to tap into this other block. Forgotten the day exactly that we analyzed this market together, right? Probably that would be last week, Thursday or so, right? I think New York market color session. All right. But then for for S&P 500, there's no really intraday play that I'm looking at here. It looks exactly like US 30, right? It looks like US 30. However, it has cleared all of its own high we're looking for. But US 30 still have like so much to be done, right? There's still that gap in movement. So we expect this to even tap and then catch up to S&P 500. right? Using correlation and multiple asset correlation. For those that understand what I'm saying, we have the all-time high here for this, and we expect price to clear it, right? But for US 30, we still have that gap that we expect that's still far, right? And we expect price to also, clear it. So we might want to stick with US 30 and then want to allow these price movements to play out. Eventually, if it's going to play out, that's a long-term buy you're looking at, right? And with other refinements from here, you can get something very significant, something very, very significant. So this is just the framework of the entire setup, but refining to lower time frame entry will give you probably 1:7, 1:10, or even 1:15 if you are able to actually refine very well. All right, that being said, this should be like the end of the analysis on US 30 and NAS 100 for today. Do we have any question, and was this clear enough? Do you have any questions so far? Do you have any question? Please, let's say in the chat box. Let's type it in the chat box. Do you have any question? And if this analysis was clear, let me know. Let me know in the chat box. All right, thank you so much, Ola. We'll be meeting by 2 for our New York Market Color session, right? Also be informed again, our first training of the year kicks off next week, the ATM cash flow training, right? If you're interested in learning how to trade for synthetic market, right? Ensure you get on board, send us a message on WhatsApp, Instagram, any of our social media handle. We're going to get back to you. Please, what are we looking on for S&P 500? For S&P 500, we're not trading it, right? Because we said the price movement is not that significant compared to compared to US 30, right? You have almost like the same analysis with US 30, right? But then it has almost cleared its own what's it called now? Its own previous high, all-time high. So we want to stick with US 30 because we know that we still have a long way to go for that high to be clear, right? So that's the reason why we are not taking any trade on S&P 500. I hope you got it. Good morning. Been a while. We had Mr. Ejimi on the call. When are we expecting him back? Please, it will be back soon. It will be back soon. Boss has been quite engaged. This is January, and then I believe you understand official duties, right? So January planning and all of those back end stuff, right? But when it's less busy or less engaged, he will be back. He will be back, right? He also has missed every one of us on the Zoom call, right? All right, that being said, we'll be meeting by 2 o'clock for the New York Market Scholar session. Ensure you come around so we look at this market together. Again, if anything has changed significantly, we can look at it together. All right, thank you so much. Our regards to him. Yes, we're going to extend your regards. And thank you so much for checking up on him. That being said, I wish you all a profitable trading. Cheers and God bless everyone.